Hello.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
Okay.
Look at you
Hello.
with your little hair. You're so cute.
Thanks. She greasy, so I had to like try to do something.
I, l- I feel like greasy hair, you can honestly do too, like so much. It's like just go with it.
Yeah, you gotta lean in.
Yeah.
And
I'm
like,
in Chad's literal high school football sweatshirt, so that's where I'm at, but it's fine. This
good for
might
you.
be not a YouTube video. It might just be, hey.
You look great.
It's the best I can. I was like, I should text her and be like, if you really want me to change, I will. And I was like, no.
No, we're living our truth, okay?
It's so funny too, because I literally woke up and like I have so much energy in the morning, right when I wake up, and I got myself dressed. I literally had jeans on and a sweater and like
Jeans.
I know, I mean the
What are you
majority of
nuts?
they kind of don't count, but
Huh.
and I can't, we went out, we dropped Danny off at daycare and then we got breakfast.
Oh,
And I
nice.
came home and I was like, no.
No, honestly, it's like very gray and cold out too.
Thought it was gonna be warm. I was like so excited. I was like, oh, this will like force me to be a good human. And now I'm like, no.
Same. Literally, like I took Poe for a walk this morning because he had a vet appointment today, and like bundled because I looked out and my car was all like frosted over. So I like put on a hat, mittens, a scarf, and then like halfway through the walk, I'm like realizing that everyone around me is like dressed very normally. And I'm like, oh, I am kind of toasty. And so then when we went out to go to the vet and like run some errands, I put on like my like light little crop puffer jacket and was like freezing. So there's
Those
a
are
helmet.
so cute. I can't wait to get one of those when I don't have a ball on my belly.
I actually think it would be cute with a pregnant belly. Like
Oh
just
my God.
embrace
Maybe
it.
when you're like new pregnant, but now I don't think I could get much in there. I think it would be a crop top.
I mean, I think it's like, yeah, we're not zipping it, but a little open moment.
That's true. That's true. Oh my God. I say we just leave this in. Let's not even edit it. Let's just be
I know.
real and
Yeah.
gross.
We're so real and authentic.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow.
Well, what's going on?
Um, I like don't even know. I am having a good week and things are going well, but I have been noticing that I'm like grinding my teeth a lot, like all week long, and that's not something I normally do. And I know that it's just like I have a little bit too much on my plate. I'm trying to do too many things. Anxiety kind of creeps in from that, and but it's a phase, so.
You know what I was thinking about today is that it's honestly so much harder to do either like what you're doing or what I'm doing. Like you obviously like starting your own business and having your own schedule, and me having my own schedule too, although like raising a kid and everything. Cause it's like you schedule things throughout the day, but then it makes your day so choppy. So it's like you can't ever actually relax, because it's
Right.
like, okay, now I had an appointment this morning and then I had an appointment this afternoon and then like later. So it's like some people just think it's like this easy thing, but it's like you never are actually relaxed. Like it's never a
Yeah.
chunk of time. It's like here and then here. So like don't what can you do between, It's like it's a lot.
Yeah. And I feel like then I try to like on some of the days this week where I had to like be a real person and like go to like in-person meetings, which was wild. I bought some trousers. Um, which I purposely bought a little bit too big so they feel less like wearing restrictive pants.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like I like mapped out a lot of my days like by the hour blocks, which is helpful in terms of like getting the things done that you want to get done, but also, yeah, it's very choppy, very like, all right, I'm supposed to have a flexible schedule, but also like this feels like I'm working way beyond 9 to 5, but it's also like not all of it is business stuff. Some of it's like maintaining a home and like I have to take the dog for a walk and no one else is going to do it.
Mm, I
So,
hear you, girl. I hear
you
you.
know, you know. But it's Friday. It's the freaking weekend.
So funny. Every day I've said this before, it's just the same to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
until I can have a glass of wine, I feel like every day will be the same. But
Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming for me.
it is. You are like right around the corner.
I know. I
Your
know.
due date is currently on my, I mean, not written down, but like was looking at my February whiteboard calendar that's on our fridge, and the first week of March is on it. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
there
happening.
she is.
I know. We obviously talked yesterday, but that episode won't air for a little while. But for all of you listeners, because this will come out on Monday and it's Friday, yeah, 36 weeks pregnant and had the appointment yesterday. Everything's looking really good. And it's getting really real. I think in the back of my mind, I've
Yeah.
been kind of like, oh, it will be another C-section because Annie was, and they're like, no, like you're good. You were the baby's down there, like in position. And so
At
now I'm
this
kind of
point,
like,
was Annie not? Like at this point,
no.
you kind of knew.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Usually they say at 36 weeks. If they're not, then they'll likely just stay wherever they are. But
Mm,
Annie was never down, like not once during my
mm.
pregnancy.
Just got to mind of her own.
Yeah. So yeah, things are getting real, and I think that I'm so excited for this opportunity. I think it's such like an honor to be able to walk this journey, and a lot of
Mhm.
people struggle to get here. And so I feel like there's like an emotional part of it of like, oh my God, you've gone through this whole pregnancy and now you have an opportunity to like give birth to someone and do it the way that like you want it to happen, and like I have so much more say now than I did with Annie. And so it's like, oh my God, you're getting real with it. Like I need to actually think about like what that's going to look like and like
Yeah.
what the steps are going to be. So yeah, a lot of self-talk and a lot of just thought and reflecting.
It's so exciting. I can't believe it's already here. Like,
I
I feel
know.
like you were just surprising me on the pod, telling me that you were pregnant.
Yep. So here we are. But yeah, getting through it. I'm definitely really tired, but it's also like you just kind of give into it and just like
Yeah.
this is what it is. And it's you can kind of like if you just give into the feeling, it's kind of like a dreamy state. So I'm
Mm.
just trying to stay like positive about it instead of getting into like the I'm exhausted because obviously there's times for that too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like you're not just pregnant, you
Mhm.
also have a toddler.
Yeah. And I've had this
So,
freaking cold for like 2 weeks. I don't know what is going on. I like
uh,
can't breathe.
yeah.
Someone come plunge me out, okay?
Plunge me out.
Take my buggies.
Yeah, you should take Annie's. You still have that like booger sucker from when she's a
Yeah.
baby.
Chad, because she has this cold like really bad. She just wakes up and she has like plugs in her nose of
Oh,
boogers, and Chad like threatens her every day. Like, Annie, I'm gonna get the snot sucker out for you today. And I'm
I
like, don't
love it.
even say that. She would literally like cut you in your sleep.
Yes. Oh my God. So funny.
Uh,
Such a
yeah.
gross little tool. Megan showed me recently the one where you suck it.
Yeah, snot sucker. It's literally what
Yeah.
it's called. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So other things in motherhood that no one talks about.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Um,
Anyways,
you have a
we're
judge
talking
me?
about love. Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta judge each other first.
I know. I was just walking around making tea, and I was like, "What are all the things that I could get judged on?" And I literally in my head was like, "Do do 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 do."
Yeah, right? I'm like
I
this, you
landed
dumb
on, yeah,
bitch.
I landed on something that happened today that was like so funny and embarrassing at the same time. So I caved, and even though I'm having this baby in less than a month, I went online and bought some like expensive maternity underwear. And they literally go over your belly, like up to your boobs. And I got
Amazing.
them in the mail today and I'm wearing them and I feel like a freaking model. Okay. I'm like,
Uh,
why didn't I invest in these before? Like,
yes.
they just, I was really looking in the mirror, like, okay, I like these. Like, obviously, they are not sexual at all, but like the fact that you
That's
can like see
amazing.
your underwear line, because like when I wear my real underwear, they just get buried under my belly. And so I
That's so
was like
true.
feeling myself in my maternity underwear this morning. So,
Honestly, that sounds like a dream and not something you to be judged on because one, you need to be comfortable right now and feel good. And you're definitely going to keep wearing them during your fourth trimester, I would
yeah.
imagine. Fit
Yeah, I
a
gotta
nice
say,
big diaper under there.
oh, for sure. Yeah, for my last pregnancy, I like wouldn't buy them because I was like, that is so embarrassing. I will never be that like old mom wearing like big underwear. But
Embarrassing.
anyways, so I ended up buying like over the belly underwear when I had to have the C-section because like you can't have your underwear on that incision,
Mm,
whatever.
mm.
And I bought them like too small and they were so uncomfortable. So I'm just in this journey for comfort and
Yeah.
feeling good. So
As you absolutely should. No judgment.
yeah, thank
Nothing.
you. Thank
None.
you. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like you can judge me and you can totally like picture like the Grinch and like their little uniform. I'm feeling that. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just
But
picturing you standing in front of the mirror like the Grinch, like,
like, ooh.
that's it.
Yes,
I'm not going.
yes, like popping my leg out, like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Oh. Oh. Ooh.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can definitely giggle at you, but I won't judge you.
So what about you? What do you got? What do you got wearing for underwear under those trousers?
Well, okay, I actually was thinking maybe this is a judge me moment
Mm.
because I need to hear from the people. I'm straying from what my original one was, but I've started a list so I can always pull from some. Um,
Yeah.
because I'll think of them and then like we come on and you're like, so what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing.
True.
Um, okay, I need to know like how often are people purchasing new underwear? Because I feel like I am someone that like doesn't do that really. Like in the last, I don't know. Well, a couple years ago when I was like annoyingly posting on Instagram and very small brands would offer to send me things. I got sent a bunch of underwear from
She is an influencer. Look at
I certainly was not. I'm like, not a single person is going to click on this link. I guarantee you this, but yes, I will take some free underwear. Thank you. Um, so I got like some new underwear from there, and I think like maybe in the last couple of years I've bought like a couple pairs here and there. But like the other day, it was laundry day, so all like my favorites. Like also, do people have like go-tos?
100%. I have like 3 pairs of underwear I actually wear and 100 that I'm like,
Yeah,
never.
that just sit there that I'm like,
Yeah.
these are disgusting and hideous.
Yeah.
Or like lacy, and I'm like, I'm
Yes.
not wearing that. Like I need the like seamless, really like soft fabric. That's what I want. But
Yep.
I was like looking through my drawer trying to pick something, and it was like I think I grabbed something multiple times this week, basically. I like was going to the bathroom and looked down and like my underwear had like holes in them and like rips. And I'm like, all right, it is laundry day, but like, why are these in my drawer
Yep.
at all?
Yep.
Throw them
Yeah.
away. And I didn't. I put them in the laundry and I'm gonna continue to keep them, I guess. Um, but I need to make a little
Yeah.
shopping trip, I
I think
think.
that literally everyone is in that position of like having wicked old underwear. Some of it doesn't fit. I feel like no, like I don't fit into like a lot of underwear anymore. Whereas when I was younger,
Mm,
I would be like, whatever's at the store, I'll grab on sale.
yeah.
Now, like I'm very specific about sizing. I agree. We all need seamless. Like I do not want anything like intruding into my skin, you know?
No.
So yeah, you find your brands. Like mine are Gap, Body, and Aerie.
Oh,
I
I do
rotate
love Aerie.
Yeah, I rotate through those and I agree. I feel like I buy them. Well, you know what? I actually do buy probably like a pair or two a year.
Yeah.
Still keep the old ones.
Yeah.
So, and Annie loves thongs, like loves them. She always tries to wear them and I have to like tie them up in a bow.
Yes.
So I have these like old hanky panky ones that are so like
That's
I
amazing.
bought them at like when I was maybe like 20 because like Jessica Simpson liked them or something.
Yes.
And I refused to throw them away because they were over $20 a pair. And Annie loves to wear them as necklaces now. So it's just like her thing. So she goes in my underwear drawer and just wears my like neon hanky pankies. Won't ever wear
She's a
them again.
fashionista,
She
a
knows what a girl.
trend setter.
Mhm.
All the girlies are going to be doing it in the spring. Just wait.
So yeah, totally do not judge you for that because I think everyone's in the same boat. But if someone's organized, let us know what we should actually be doing. Like, are we gross?
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember. It must have been a podcast or something, and I feel like someone said that like every 6 months they like rotate through and like buy a bunch of new ones, throw a bunch out. Every 6 months?
Yeah, that
Who
feels
has the time and the
responsible.
money?
Responsible.
I'm just bad about anything like
There
that.
should be there's like a subscription company that you can do that would just like send it to you and then it's just like happens, you know? I would be down for that.
Well, that was one of those companies. It was called Booty Bag. And you got like, I think there were different like membership tiers, but I got like one pair of underwear a month. But like the quality was shit. Like it was
Okay.
like
Okay.
it was the last year or so, and they're already like
That is comical.
so like the coloring is like totally not the same color it was. Like, sorry to call them out. That was so mean of me. But like, I don't know if they're still doing anything.
Yeah, they're probably not in business anymore.
Yikes. Oops.
Oh my God. You have too much fun. We need to get into our content of the day, okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about love.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this doesn't just turn into a husband bashing episode, but it very well
It
could.
might. I know, it's so funny. The other day, Chad actually said to me, because I said to him when we had our professional organizer on, I was like, yeah, I was talking to her about your trophies. And he was like, why do you always just shit on me? And I was like, oh, I thought that was like what we did in our relationship. What do you
Yeah.
mean? And he was like,
Like, what are you talking about?
well, I mean, can you chill? And I was like,
No.
sorry, maybe I should. Like, I am pretty mean to you, but it's all in fun. I love you so much. And I'm actually excited for this episode because I
Me
had to do
too.
a lot of reflecting and thinking about obviously my relationship with my husband and different partners in the past and the differences. And so I'm kind of excited to chat with you about it.
Me as well. I think it's gonna be a good combo. Um, should we start by reading off our poll results
Ooh,
or
yes, good idea. I haven't actually looked at them this morning. This was so much fun to make and like I
yeah.
didn't look at any of the like people specific answers. I just looked at percentages. And so
Mm.
thank you to those who were brave. I think we got a
Yeah.
good amount of feedback. So share with the masses. Go
I
for
have
it.
no idea, like truly anonymous from my end because my Instagram app is messed up. And anytime we do stuff like this, like I can see the results, but if I click on like the bottom to look at the insights, it will not, like it's messed up. It says no one interacted. It won't show anyone that did. It doesn't show people's answers. So don't worry, you're safe.
Safe. We're not going to
It's
shit
weird.
all over you. That's just reserved for the husbands.
Yeah. And Instagram doesn't have customer service. So there's no way
True.
that's happening. Okay. How often do you go out on dates? A tie of 35% said 1 to 2 times a month and whenever we can find the time. 25% said at least once a week, and 5% said literally never. Help.
Got you.
How often are you and Chad normally going out on dates?
Just different seasons of our life, but I feel like typically when we're like in the flow, probably like once a week.
Yeah.
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 But
I
it
feel like
might be
same.
like, I don't know, super casual, maybe
Right.
with Annie. Like it's nothing like we're not going into the city once a week, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, same. Like I feel like we definitely like go out to eat at least once a week. I would say like an intentional date night, maybe like a couple times a month that we're like making more of an effort with it kind of
Mhm.
thing, or like trying to choose something more fun and creative than just like, hey, neither one of us is cooking obviously tonight. Like, let's go out to eat.
Yeah, totally. And then another date that Chad and I love that I've talked about a little bit is we love going out to breakfast. It's like
Ah,
an
love
easy, everyone's awake, you're not like trying to be cool, staying out late, and it's
wow.
just like
You can wear
an easy
comfies.
time. So, highly recommend.
Love breakfast food. Yeah, I feel like we like to do that also. Mark is a big diner guy, so and the town next to us apparently is like the diner capital of the country. So lots of good breakfast places. I don't know.
Nice.
Maybe we should do a breakfast double date
Oh my
one of
God, I'm
these days.
in. Yes, yes.
Um, And we also did start doing, finally, 1 year later, started doing that 2 date nights a month, like one in the house, one out of the house, and then you swap who does it
Yeah.
each month. So last month I did the in the house and I set up like our air mattress in the living room and put together like a big fun, like cozy movie bed. And then I bought for $11 at Kohl's because there is a Kohl's down the street from me. And I had to do an Amazon return because why else does anyone go to Kohl's these days? Um, I got an $11 s'mores maker that has like
Ooh,
these little trays around. So I filled it with like the marshmallows, the chocolate, all of that. And we made little s'mores and watched movies. It was great.
that sounds amazing. I love
But now that little s'mores maker is in the basement, never to be used again.
I know. I'm like, I'm never buying anything else. No.
No, it
Yeah.
was fucking dumb. Okay. How often do you text throughout the day? 50% said a couple texts here and there, 44% said all day, every day, and 6% said we literally don't.
Hmm. I forget which one I did. I think I said we text all the time, but that's a lie because we absolutely do not. Probably today.
Sure.
Um,
You're a big
but it's
liar.
also different, like, because Chad and I have like like he goes out on the water, like
Mm,
to work. So like sometimes the only time we talk is through text throughout the day. So like our lives are a little bit weird.
mm.
But I feel like I don't know. What do you do? Do you guys text a lot?
I clicked we literally don't because like we literally don't.
You talk on the phone a lot?
No, we like don't communicate throughout the day. I feel like Mark, especially in his new position, he's in meetings like nonstop all day. So sometimes one of us, normally him, will send me a text at some point like mid-morning being like, you were dead asleep when I left. Love you so much. Have a good day. Or
You're
like,
alive.
yeah, we'll touch base on like, hey, what are we gonna do for dinner? Or like check in, maybe. But like most of the time we don't really. And Mark will normally like do that very standard 2 second phone call when he's like on his way home that literally goes like, hey, I'm like, what's up? And he's like, on my way home. I'm like, cool.
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah. It's like, well, talk when you get home. Drive
Yeah.
safe. Is your seatbelt on?
I do that with Chad. Chad never calls me, and I'm always like, "Hey, where are you?" And then it's like awkward silences here and
Yeah.
there, and it's like, "Okay, okay, what do you want for dinner?" I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. And it's like the same conversation every day, but like I love it. It's like a comfort blanket.
Yes. And I
Need it.
feel like it is neither one is like the right answer.
Mm.
It's totally up to like your love language and communication style and all of that. But I feel like it's so different than like when you're in the start of a relationship and you're like checking in all the time and like learning new things about each other. And now it's like,
Sure.
catch you at home.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next one. I know the answer for you already, especially in this phase of your life, but are you snuggly sleepers?
Absolutely.
70, yeah, so you're with the masses. 76% said do not touch me.
Mm.
24% said snuggle city.
Ooh. And you are definitely a snuggle bug.
Yes. Physical touch is my love language.
Oh my God.
But Mark matches it. Like, honestly, last night, because Poe sleeps in the bed too, like, I got situated and Mark was like on me, like glued as a spoon. But then Poe came in down the front
Yeah.
and was like under the covers in the front of me. And I felt so squished. I was just like, hey, everybody, get off. But yeah,
Oh,
we're big fat losers and like at least fall asleep snuggling like
oh,
the
I love
time.
so cute. I love that. I just like am not comfortable. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Mark, it's funny because it's such a contrast to like him in life. Like
Yeah.
literally all of his family and friends like teased him the wedding weekend because it was like so much PDA that he had to do in front of people and like he hates PDA. Will like maybe hold hands
I feel like
sometimes.
I saw him kiss you one time and that was like at the altar.
Yeah, literally. Like it's not a thing. But it's just behind closed doors apparently.
Yeah. He is a snuggle bug. Okay.
Okay, next one. Time to expose ourselves. What is the biggest point of conflict in your relationship? I was very surprised by this one. 0% said money and 0% said jealousy. So love to hear that our listeners are not in toxic jealous relationships.
Mhm.
73% said silly bickering and 27% said parenting.
Yeah, I feel like that's so valid for like where we are and where like
Yeah.
listeners are right now in our lives. So totally valid. I honestly think all of the above too, if I had to like be completely honest, that's like a
Totally.
thing of like difficult conversation, I think, in different phases of your life. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the times we just start to like bicker and then it gets like a little too intense and then it's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, let's back up a little bit, you know?
Totally, totally. Yeah. I would say we're the same. Like we're not people that like really fight like at all because we're both pretty like even keeled people, but we bicker a lot. And like I feel like our love language is like bickering and like poking at each other a little bit. Like
Mhm.
Mark's, especially with Drew living with us, like his older brother energy comes out a lot where he's like, I know your buttons and I'm gonna like drive you crazy because it's hilarious to see you get worked up. And it's been more of that since Drew has lived with us because they do it to each other and then he's like in that mode.
Totally.
But yeah.
Totally. Okay.
But I do the same thing where like I realize like, oh my God, I'm being a bitch. And then I'm like, whoa, sorry about that. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
all right, you're just the easiest human.
he really is.
Okay, these next two we don't necessarily have to answer, but we can have a nice giggle. Okay.
Okay.
How often are you getting it on?
Get it on,
And
girl.
I was mostly pleased by these answers because 0% said 3+ times a week. Thank God.
Thank
Like,
God.
woo, pressure's
Thank
off.
you.
Who has the time? Um, And 0% said what sex question mark. So that's good. I'm glad our listeners are having some sexual relations.
Mhm.
Girls gotta eat, you know.
Mhm.
71% said 1 to 2 times a week, and 30% said, or 29% said 1 to 2 times a month. Which I
Cool.
think both of those are, I mean, I'm not an expert, but like seem healthy, you know?
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
ebbs and flows.
It totally ebbs and flows. I think it's like where you are, like as a parent, you probably have less time, less flexibility,
Mm.
both physically and schedule wise.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like whatever you feel comfortable, this took me a long time to kind of like investigate in my own relationship. Whatever you and your partner feel comfortable with is normal, you know? So
Yeah.
maybe you're having sex once a month for a year and like you both still feel connected. And we'll definitely talk about that in another
Definitely.
genre of today's topics, but I feel like it's really that connection that you're seeking and whatever feels good for both of you together is normal.
Yeah. And I definitely would say, I feel like, especially when you're younger, I think, um, you kind of put all of, not like all of your eggs in one basket, but like you frequently having sex with your partner, like sex is the only place that you're getting that validation. Like, that's a red flag too.
Mhm.
Like if you feel so insecure that you're not having sex like multiple times a week, is that the only time your partner is like giving you any validation or the only time you feel connected? Because like I definitely have been in that boat in like past relationships and like took until after I was out of it to realize like duh, they never like wanted to actually connect with you on a deeper level. Like that makes a lot of sense too. So
Totally.
yeah, be breezy, whatever
Crazy.
works. And then this one like made me laugh, but also like the answer, I don't know, hilarious. Okay, are we giving our husbands BJ's?
Oh my God. This is like a serious question that I feel like we need to let people know. So what are people doing?
Okay, yeah, we are doing investigative journalism. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you're welcome. Peer reviewed journalism or
Our documentary is coming out on Freevee on
yeah.
okay. 13% said LOL, never, which like fair enough. If you don't like it, don't fucking do it.
100.
It's called a job for a reason. 20% said birthdays only.
I love that.
Like a hilarious, common thing in
Yes.
society, you know?
Totally.
And then 67% said sometimes.
We never gave them the option of like always. I don't know why we didn't like really
Because it's like, I don't think I want to know if someone is always doing that.
It
Like,
is
no
part
one
of
needs
my
that.
morning routine. We wake up, we do this, and then we brush our teeth and eat cereal. If you're doing that, I
Yes.
mean, teach me your ways. I don't know. Give me some of your juju.
I mean, that's the thing. If you are doing it always, I am so sorry that we did not make you feel seen because, like, you go off.
I
Go
have some
off.
girlfriends that love to do it, and I'm like a little jealous of that, to be honest with you, because I'm
Mm,
like, you must be so in your like womanhood and your femininity and just like your like sense of worth
yeah.
that you're able to do that and like find pride in like yourself for doing that. Like I am too self-conscious. I'm like, am I doing it right?
Mm,
What is going on? Oh my God. Like judging the whole time on myself, like not
yeah.
eh.
Judging
So,
him.
yeah, judging him. But yeah, I feel like BJs are such a complicated topic.
It is. And I feel like, okay, I feel like we should just jump into the intimacy portion since we're
Yeah.
here.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I feel like I go back and forth. Definitely like a sometimes girly. I don't really mind it, but I definitely am with you, Caitlin, where I have always been really self-conscious
Mhm.
during sex. I'm gonna
Yeah.
call myself out here and be
Yeah.
so real and so authentic, but like real talk. I don't think I realized really until being with Mark and being with someone that like I felt so like securely attached to and so comfortable around, like just how insecure I had been with every single partner that I had ever been with.
Mm.
Like, if we really want to be super real, I never had a real orgasm until
Ooh.
Mark. And
You for sharing
I
that.
should have put a trigger warning there. Like, Mom and Janet, if you're listening, turn it off now.
No, but they should also be like happy for you. You know, I feel like they're
This
adults.
is
They
true.
would be. Like
This is
that's
true. My
yeah.
grandma did one time, after I broke up with my college boyfriend, tell me to buy condoms. So I was always in control because you never know
Good.
about when you're in the heat of the moment. So
Good. I love it. I love when like your parent figures say things like that. You're like,
so
mm-hmm.
hysterical. My mom was right there being like, you know what? She's right. I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, get lost.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear like your take on that. Like for me, I feel like I had I don't want to say like so much sexual trauma because that sounds like so serious and scary, but like I feel like enough bad experiences that just like compounded and like people that really didn't treat me well and then would make me feel bad. Like I literally had like these fucking dickhead asshole guys when like I wouldn't be orgasming, being like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, that's gonna stick in my mind for the rest of my life." But also, what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
bitch? That I can't. You're not
Yes.
doing something right, and you're not making me feel comfortable.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's like so funny you say that because I've been with Chad for so long, so it's like a,
Mm.
kind of a different cup of tea, and I'm just like
Yeah,
so
totally.
honest with him in my like when
Hmm.
we do have sex, and it's like I love that about a relationship, and like he doesn't take things like personally if I'm like wasn't feeling it or whatever, like I would never lie to him and be like, that was so great when like I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I love that like we have that open communication, but I feel like, yeah, what I struggle with is like feeling good in my own body sometimes. It's
Mm.
really not about like my partner, it's about like feeling comfortable. And I get like so picky, and I think that it might be a coping mechanism of like, oh well, like I'm so tired, or like I'm too cold, I'm too hot, I'm too this or that.
No, this is
I
the
feel like
woman's brain. That's
I
a real thing.
And then I'm like, well, maybe I'm like not looking good. Like, I don't want to be at this angle where like I can see myself. I don't want you to see myself. Like,
Mm.
there's just so much thought in it. And I like really wish that we could get into that like reptilian brain, like like men of just like
Oh
doing what feels good, like don't not worrying about it all. But
yeah, they
yeah,
think with one head at a time, and they're like, we have all these thoughts of like, oh my God, they're gonna see my double chin. Like, do I have a hair on my nipple? Like, what face am I making? Am I making a weird face? Like, they're
yes,
just happy
eye
to be there.
contact. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like they're just happy to be
All,
there. They're having a good time. But we do
yeah.
it to
So I think that's
ourselves.
important. We do it to ourselves, yeah. But there is something to be said about having a good partner who like listens to you and respects you and like it will also like work with you to like make you comfortable, like
Yeah.
what you're saying, you didn't have an orgasm until you were with Mark, and it's like, yeah, that's amazing that you can like talk to him about like what works for you and what doesn't, or like maybe this time of the month I want to be with the lights off because I'm bloated and like puffy, and this
Yeah.
time of the month I want to have it in the morning, and like just being able to like go with each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like communication is so key with that.
It totally is. And it's definitely like it can be like an uncomfortable communication at first, like especially I feel like very like shy about that stuff because we're not really like taught how to talk about any of that, and we're very taught about sex from like a place of shame. I feel like that's those messages have been kind of like imparted onto us since we were young. But it like even just talking about it makes you so much closer with someone. Like that is a version of intimacy and like trust
Mhm.
that goes so much farther than like actual intimate like sexual intimacy.
Totally. And I'm like, I'm just remembering this, and now I'm getting personal. And I told myself I wouldn't tell personal stories, but here we are, everyone opening the floodgates. No, I'm kidding. But talking about this, like, I think we're talking about what we struggle with, and then finding kind of like passion through communication and like areas where you can find intimacy that not, aren't necessarily sex. And I think that that can lead to better sex.
Oh my God.
And so I know I'm bouncing around here in our notes, but
No.
I remember like when I was postpartum with Annie, and like obviously you're not having sex even at 6 weeks. Like if you don't have sex, that's good,
That's
like let your
so
body
early. Like
so early.
that is terrifying, I feel like to think of,
Yeah,
and I've never been through it, but like that feels wildly early.
yeah. But it's like to be able to have a partner that you can have like moments with. Like I remember I was like in the shower and Chad got in the shower with me, and you're still like your body's all weird, like you don't know which way is up. And like we didn't do anything, but just like sat in the shower together. And it's like that's a memory that I'll remember for so long because it's like
Yeah.
a point of like, oh, you just went through this whole experience and you're like connecting on a different level. It's not sexually, but you're still like feeling connected energetically. So it's
Mhm.
like you have to find a partner that you can experience those moments with because sometimes they're better than sex.
Yeah. And honestly, like that's the stuff that gets you to the long haul, to the finish line. We're like,
Mhm.
like that, those moments are so much more impactful
Yeah.
and like bring you so much closer, I feel like, and will make your sex better because you're getting
Yes.
closer and more comfortable.
Yeah. And that's something I feel like I just started within the past like 2 or 3 years exploring of like sex does not have to be like penetrative
Yeah,
intercourse. It's so much more than that. So
totally.
many layers to it. So go
Yeah.
explore.
And I feel like I hate the like trope or whatever, which I think it can be deserving in many cases, but the whole trope of like women just being like, ugh, ew, I didn't just ever want to have sex with him. Ew.
Mhm.
Like, and I feel like you see it on like every sitcom is like this dopey husband and the like angry, annoyed wife.
Mhm.
I feel like old bosses have like had those types of like I can remember specific conversations being like, oh my God, I don't ever want to be like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
of course, you go through phases, but I feel like also the partnership that you have, like wanting to have sex with your husband starts so before you get to the bedroom. It's like, all right, did we connect at all today? Did you listen to anything I said? Like, are there dishes in the sink? Like, oh my
Mm,
God, you cleaned up dinner and like ran the vacuum? I have a little
yeah.
lady boner. Like, you know?
It's so true. It's like foreplay starts the minute you wake up. It doesn't start a minute before you have sex. So like
Right.
get on a leash over here, okay?
Yes. But yeah.
Oh my God. I love it. I love how we were like, we're not going to talk about our sex lives and all of these things. And the first, that topic of sex is like literally the last thing in our notes.
Yes.
And
You're
I
like,
are
you know
like,
what?
no.
Rip the Band-Aid. Okay. Well, let's go maybe to the opposite of that,
Okay.
conflict,
Okay.
shall
Conflict.
we?
Shall we? Go for it.
Um, I don't know. I would actually, okay, I have a question for you specifically because I feel like my notes for this were kind of dumb and I don't know where I want to go with it, but curious for you, especially because you and Chad have been together for so long and now you're kind of navigating this new phase of life and new phase of your relationship. And I've seen like firsthand with other friends this happen. I would love to hear about like how your conflict is now, especially in terms of like parenting. Like, do you find it hard, especially because you're the one with Annie the majority of the time, day to day? Like, do you find it hard to let Chad like come in and like do his thing, even if he's doing something like differently than how you would do it? Or do you struggle with like making it into a conflict type of thing?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I do. I feel like I've said this so many times, but I think that marriage and your like relationship is such a roller coaster. Some days, like I've been on this podcast and literally been like, I'm mad at Chad or like I'm not feeling him. And now, right now in this moment, I'm like obsessed with him. And I think that that's so healthy. But yeah, parenting is such a complex partnership,
Mhm.
regardless of if you're married or if you're separated. I think that there's so many different components when it comes to it. Um, and I think that it's just getting on the same page of having the same expectations. A lot of the times, Chad will come home from work and parent Annie. Like it happened this morning. She was having a tantrum on the floor. She wouldn't get dressed. And usually when that happens for me, I just sit next to her and say, I'm here if you want a hug. And I just let her have a tantrum because
Yeah,
like
cry it out.
I've learned through time and time again of being with her 24/7 of like when I'm like, do you want water? Do you want this? Can I help you with this? We're just gonna do it. Like I've tried every tactic and it
Mm.
just doesn't work and it just gets me stressed out. And so this morning he was like, Annie, come on over here. I'll do your diaper. Come on. I know, well, you're upset because you're doing this. And I'm like, I literally like snapped at him and I was like, she's not listening to you. She's having a tantrum. Like, what
Yeah.
can you not see? And then he snapped back at me and I was like,
You're like, now we're all having tantrums.
but that's happened so many times. And I usually, when I'm in like a fight or flight mode, would have been snapped back at him. But instead, I was like, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to fight with you. I just want her to get over this. And
Yeah.
this is what like, this is what typically happens when she does this with just me. And so it's just being able to change perspectives
Mm.
easily, which isn't easy.
Yeah.
Like for him, he's just trying to help because he knows that like I get the brunt of the tantrums, and in those moments, she just is like, "Mom, mom, mom," and then I pick her up and she hits me, and it's like he sees it happening, he wants to help, but there's different perceptions of what's going on. So I think a lot of it is just like finding space to have those conversations, not in the moment too, of like then we were at a breakfast and I was like, "Hey, sorry for like snapping at you. I didn't mean to. It was just explaining exactly what I just
Yeah.
did."
In a high
Um,
stress moment, like,
exactly. And so um yeah, I think that one of the things is just lowering the bar and just giving grace, having open communication when it's appropriate. Um, and then another thing that I've learned throughout our relationship is that not to like assume things. That was becoming a really big moment of contention for Chad and I, where he'd come home and he wouldn't talk to me, and I would take it really personally or like get just mad at him, like instantly, like, okay, what's going on? Like, in the tone that I would use would become really like belligerent.
Mm,
And he'd be like, what do you mean? That's everything's good. I'm just walking in the door. I'm freaking tired. And it's like,
yeah.
well, I think that you're mad at me and all of this. And so there was like, there's been like a big shift in our styles of communication too, where like now he knows that when he comes in the door, like he's expected to be on even though he's tired. And if he's not, I can ask him, what are you thinking right now? And
Yeah.
actually listen to what he's saying and accept it instead of being like, okay,
Making the story up.
mhm, and not being passive aggressive. That was a lot of the way that I was raised too, was a lot of my family was really passive aggressive. And so that has been my coping mechanism too, and trying to heal that. So many different pieces of that go into play when
Yeah,
you're talking about conflict. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. What do you guys do when you get into little
Well, I
bickering?
love everything you said about like
I
how
also
it
love that.
evolves. Yeah, you're like, whoo, that was a lot. No, I mean, that's very refreshing to hear. I feel like it can be so easy, I'm sure, when you've been in a relationship for a long time to just like stick with the same dynamics that you've had and to be able to be like, okay, this clearly is not helping either of us. Like, let's try a new approach here. Like, that's very refreshing. Yeah, I definitely feel like there have been times where um I definitely would do the same, like being passive aggressive and wanting him to figure out what's going on with me on his own. Like, you
Yes.
should know why I'm annoyed.
And like
But
I
the
still
thing
do
is,
it, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, that's the thing. Mark is a straightforward person and is so chill. So even in the moments that I feel like I am a major bitch and snap at him or I'm short or whatever, if I go back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I was doing a psycho. He'd be like, what are you talking about? You're fine. So one, maybe that means I'm a psycho all the time and he's just like desensitized, or he's just too like easy breezy. Like I have learned, also it's the more mature thing to do, to just be like, this is how I'm feeling and what's going on, or just
I
ask
need
the
to-
question. Yeah, but I definitely think I also was not really raised
Mhm.
with that skill. I feel like we were kind of raised to like brush everything under the rug and then like let things bubble up, which also is what I have done in the past. But no, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot with it. I feel like we are both Tauruses, so we're both very breezy but can be kind of stubborn. So I would say like some of the conflict, like little things, like okay, redoing the downstairs bathroom, and he will get into a mode where he's just like frustrated at the project or talking in the way that he would doing a project with the dudes, where he's like,
It's
oh, yes, or whatever. And I'm just like, nope. Like I shut down and like me and my sisters are all the same. Like even if it's not him directing anything at me, it's directed at the project, or if like tensions get high, it is my own thing that I am working through, that I take on everyone else's emotions and I need everything to be like chill and even keeled. We're like, no, it's okay. He can have a frustrated moment and like we can meet somewhere in the middle there, but like I don't need to turn it into something that's like and like freak out and walk away. Where it's like literally everything's fine. We're frustrated because like this is a freaking annoying project and like it's not working out the way we wanted it to, you know? Did that
yes.
make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also communicating with him that's like, hey, XYZ about my past, which makes me get really uncomfortable in my body if it feels like tensions are high, even if it's not directed at me. And so for him to kind of understand that and for me to understand him and meet somewhere in the middle.
For sure.
So that's a thing.
I love it.
Um, wait, okay. Also, your note about modern motherhood,
Mhm.
I felt connected to, even though I am not yet a mother. But I feel like I know that it's a thing you're not supposed to do. Like every marriage expert ever always says, like, don't keep score. Don't. I find myself doing it all the time. And I'm like, well, I did this and this and this. You can't even take out the garbage. And it's like, I'm not saying it out loud like that, but I
Um,
am thinking it, which
yeah.
still is going to lead to
Right.
resentment and stuff where it's like, mm, he works like the longest of days and is the main breadwinner of the family. And like, that's not saying I don't work and I don't make money, but like, I also will feel like, "Ah, well, I'm the one pulling all the weight in the house." And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the deal right now, I feel like. And it's not that he doesn't help. I don't know. It's a weird thing to grapple with, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, I made a note about modern motherhood and I just kind of like at 11 p.m. last night was writing down all of the thoughts in my head where I was saying that modern motherhood is kind of like I expect Chad to do half of the parenting, but I also expect him to make 100% of our income right now. And there's a lot of weight on both of us during that.
Yeah.
So how do we like lower expectations for both of us and be clear about what we need? And it's so hard because it's like, in one sense, I don't think that like mom should be making dinner every night and having a clean house every day and doing all of
Mhm.
this. But I also think that like Chad and I's agreement for him to be working, like I'm not making any money. I spend a lot of money, but I couldn't imagine him coming home and being like, did you clean today? You know? So it's like that constant play with my own brain and my own thoughts of like, and it's not even him really, it's more me, of like, what is fair? What does this look like? I'm not going to be this super mom and he doesn't
Yeah.
expect me to, but I think a lot of it, like you're saying, we
We
put
put it on
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think again, going back to this really annoying word of communication of like a lot of the times I just need him to tell me that like A, I'm doing a good job,
Mm.
or B, he doesn't care, or C, like he likes to like Chad loves to cook dinner. I freaking hate cooking dinner. When Chad is working, we either do takeout or frozen chicken nuggets that Andy
Yep.
eats and I eat cereal. And it's like that I think would make some people's mind blown, but it's like that's just not
No.
something that I want to do. And like he doesn't ever do laundry, and I'm totally okay with that. So it's like just finding what works in your own relationship and not trying to keep up with the Joneses in any sense of the way. Um, and I think that it's just a balance that works for you and your partner and not necessarily society's view on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with you where it's these expectations that we have in our head, and half the time they're just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Like we could eat anything for dinner. Like he could come home and just like same, have a
Yep.
bowl of cereal or like make something quick. But in my head, I'm like, well, I have to make us dinner every night. And he's like, literally never expected that of you. I'm like, chill.
100%. Yep.
All right. Few minutes left. Where should we
So many good
leave
notes.
off? What is your heart
Ugh, what the heck?
drawn towards?
You know what I do want to talk about with
Mm,
our listeners is because I am on this I preach about this all the time, but I really feel like it's really important of I see so many people our age that I'll go out with Annie, just me and Annie or Chad and I, and they're like glued to their phones and it's just
mm,
so sad and like I would say this comes from a place of no judgment, but I honestly am judging you because I will tell you when Chad is on his phone, I am so like emotionally dysregulated.
me
Um,
too.
I think that a lot of us don't take time to even like process that, and I see it so much more now that I'm out of work and I'm not around a lot of people throughout the day. Like my house is silent. If Annie's at daycare or sleeping, like there's not any noise and I love it and it's so relaxing. And if Chad and I are out, like the expectation is like we're not on our phones. And I think that like you really have to make that a priority because
Mhm.
ugh, it's just like a barrier and it does nothing for you. So
Yeah.
please try to get off of your phone when you are with your person.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I feel like I will definitely be vocal about that if it's ever the case. I mean, ironically, I feel like it's like very much like I'm on my phone and the second I'm done, you better be done too, bitch. But
That
like
is true. That is true. Yeah.
I'm like, "Ugh, get off your phone." And he's like, you were just on yours.
Yes. Yes.
But I totally, totally do agree. And I feel like that just goes back to finding those small ways of connecting. And like it's such a small one, but such a big one because we're always connected to our phones. So like I get annoyed if we're both watching something together. Like, okay, we're gonna start this show. But then if he's on his phone or if we're both just sitting there on our phones, I'm like, we're not actually experiencing anything together. But it's so funny the difference of like if we actually both put them down in a way, how we are like actually watching the show. So we're actually like enjoying it, but then actually like conversing about it. And like it's such a you're watching Netflix. No, it's like a big moment of connection, but
Right.
like having those small moments, every night or whatever, like adds up to a lot in the
Right.
end. And so do those small moments of disconnection too, I think.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the times, like even for example, today I was feeling like I had all of these different things that I could do this morning. This is like a personal thing, not a couple thing, but I was like, well, I could read the book for our book club, or I could watch an episode of Netflix, or I could go and make content for our Instagram, or I could read a book for like labor and delivery or watch a YouTube for labor and delivery. And I was like, okay, what do I need in this moment that's going to like power me to like get through my next big obstacle? And instead of
Mm.
just like getting into like a route, like getting on the couch and just going to your phone, and it's like the intentionality of like thinking, like some days you wanted to sit on the couch with your person and like watch Netflix, but other times I'm like, oh my God, I have so much to talk to you about. Like, can we just keep
Yeah.
the TV off? Let's like do a puzzle together because then we can talk and also like keep ourselves entertained, do
Yeah.
a do like a game. There's like go for a walk. Like there's so many different things you can do. So like maybe step out of that comfort zone as much as you can.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like be had. Like time is the biggest, your like highest value of currency. So use it wisely.
Yeah. So we have like the least of also. Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like also I would be remiss if I did not say like I feel like part of the reason why Mark and I's relationship is so strong is because we are independent in a way where like we allow each other to like explore interests or like the way that he has supported me in like a lot of growth and like work that I've done on myself. Like I feel like I wish I had done so much of this when I was single and like I wish that my younger self did that rather than just like look for validation and like being a makeup bandit and like trying to date a million people. But I feel like that's a huge thing, like having a partner that supports you and doesn't like judge wanting to try new things or is very supportive of like, yes, go to therapy, work on this. I will be your shoulder to cry on after every session when you have to like dig deep and face things that like maybe you haven't worked through yet. Like just because you're in a relationship, it's not just like you're throwing in the towel on yourself either. Like
Mhm.
help.
100%. I think
Yeah.
that was one of my big notes too, is like giving each other space to like become the best versions of yourself and growing together in that direction. I think is so powerful. And I honestly like couldn't imagine going and doing all of like the crazy woo-woo stuff that I do or our podcast or like things that are outside of the box that people probably judge me a lot on without a partner that is like, how did the podcast go today? You guys have been recording a lot. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
like he's like, I couldn't get on Instagram because I was telling him about our polls, and he's like, yeah, I got locked out of my Instagram. I really want to do the polls, and I'm
He's
like,
like, "Did you put them on Facebook?"
yeah. He's like, I tell everyone about the podcast, and it's like if I didn't have a partner that like put me up on a pedestal with like the out of the box thinking and just
Mhm.
like not going in like the trajectory that you're supposed to go in, like we wouldn't be as strong as we are. So I feel like that's such a valuable thing that you have to find before you
Yeah.
commit to someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And like having just all of these hard conversations
Yeah.
before committing, because I feel like it can be really easy to just get swept up in, honeymoon phase and all of that and the excitement of checking the boxes. And like, I feel like when I was like waiting for Mark to propose, I feel sad that I didn't enjoy that chapter of our life and use it as a time to like really just enjoy and like get closer. Instead, I definitely went down that rabbit hole of like, I need that check mark now, you know? And thank goodness that like he is the right person and like, we were a solid couple, but I think it can be really easy just to like be chasing those society check marks and then end up with the wrong person too.
100%.
Mm, look at us,
Apparently we
relationship
love our husbands.
gurus.
Yes.
Gurus.
Oh my God. I also loved when I was making the social media for this stuff, like going and finding your picture with you and Mark. I was like, right there. And me and Chad, I was like, I'm gonna go in the Facebook archives.
Yes.
Have to go to town hall, get my photo albums out.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's
Yeah, how many years will it be
in
this
June
year?
will be 8 years.
Oh my gosh. Of marriage?
Married, yeah. Of
That
marriage.
is
We've been
wild.
together since I was 18, so I'm 32 now. So what is
Yeah,
that? 14 years.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty
Oh,
amazing.
it is, seriously. Is an inspiration to us all.
Inspiration. But anyways, um, that was a good one. We apparently love our guys, and
Apparently.
we hope that you guys can find partners that you can be weird and do unusual things with too, and
Yeah.
they support you through it.
And until then, like, date yourself, love yourself.
You, honey.
Because also, if we're talking heterosexual relationships, eventually that means like you're probably gonna have to live with a boy. So, like, don't like race after that. You know
100%.
how bad they smell and
Yep.
like how much they like toot and how messy they are?
Mhm.
Anyways, I love my husbands. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you're so it's
That's
great.
my man.
Oh my God, that needs to be the title of this episode. That's
Yes.
yeah.
All right. Love you. Bye.